I don't know how many people would actually have it in their house, but it says probably you used to keep a bottle in your bathroom at home, or your parents did. The stuff is called IPAC, IPCAC, and it is what physicians call. It's what the doctors call in a medic or something like that. The idea was that if someone was swallowed something bad like a poisonous plant or the wrong pills, they could be treated with a couple spoonfuls of this to induce something unpleasant, but it would but good, rapid, and forceful what they call throwing up. It is not intended as an insult to 45 to observe that he is the political equivalent of the IPCAC syrup. Looked at in certain light, it is closer to a compliment. His trailer park supporters gave him power in 2016 because they believed the body politic was beset with what they call a whole bunch of toxins, an overdose of fecklessness and hypocrisy, which is technically 45 is the biggest hypocrite on the planet anyway, so it's like, and in need of a purge. 45 vowed to channel the contempt his supporters felt toward the establishment order and pledged plausibly to send the old order into a state of convulsive disarray. A squatter who makes us puke would be an improbable re-election slogan, but the emetic metaphor illuminates one way of thinking about the dire situation 45 finds himself in this summer. 5 years after it became clear that his squatterable ambitions were not a novelty but a serious proposition, and 4 months before he faces voters again. A second 45 term is in doubt because not only because of 45's obvious failures, but in an important sense because of his success. He really doesn't have any. The IPEC has been swallowed, and its effects have already come vividly to pass. If the promise of disruption carried out in language and gestures of pervasive contempt was why he won the job, then 45 is as entitled as any recent squatter to stand beneath a mission-accomplished manner, which he doesn't have any accomplishments anyway. Even progressives might pause to notice and, in a generous mood, to appreciate the catalytic effect of 45 squadroncy in ushering in a new era of politics. In a Marxist theory, this was called heightening the contradictions. Animus toward 45 has energized a new cohort of left-leaning voters that has prodded and even naturally consensus-oriented politicians like the presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden away from the centrist incrementalism of the previous generation toward a more robust brand of what they call Democrat activism. From 45's vantage point, the problem is once a leader has successfully evacuated both ends of the digestive tract, how does one propose to nourish the body with something more sustaining? 45's rambling and policy-free answer last month to Sean Insanity's rude question, what's at stake in this election as you compare and contrast, and what are your top priority items for a second term, did not merely reflect an off night. One can examine his re-election announcement speech a full year ago, or his 2020 State of the Union address, and still not know more than random fragments of an answer. 45 was basically not really successful in his climb to the squadroncy, relying on bluster, intuition, and tactical improvisation that he appears not to even recognize the strategic vacuum at the center of his squadroncy. His only response to new circumstances, the twin traumas of the pandemic and racial unrest, has been to turn up the volume on greatest hits from the past. He is reviving what they call his emetic appeals. Don't my opponents make you sick? Unleashed from an affirmative agenda or acknowledgement that as squatter, he has some responsibility for these new circumstances. Bill Clinton often liked to demystify politics by saying that a squatterable campaign was essentially just a glorified job interview. Even if you already have the job, you have to interview again to say try to interview again to say why you should keep the job. I'd love to hear what way of thinking about it. Is that all but the most accidental squatters win the office by accepting an assignment from history? Their task is more the national story forward in ways that supporters believe is necessary, and that forces even opponents to respond to a new reality. Ronald Reagan's historic assignment was to confront the democratic welfare state and the old Soviet Union in radical terms rhetorically, and in a more steady but more incremental terms substantially. Barack Obama's historic assignment was to make a powerful statement about racial progress by virtue of his own election, to end the militarism of the George W. Bush years, and on health care and other issues to try to push the center of his party in the country a few steps left of where it had been in the Clinton years. 45's historic assignment in 2016 was going deeper than his daily acrobatics on Twitter or at his Klan rallies. Was to be the supreme representative of the disaffection and mistrust toward the major institutions of American life that had been building steadily for decades. He was also the agent for ending the Bush family, Clinton family dominance of national politics that many saw as stuck in an unproductive rut. What is the historic assignment that 45 proposes for himself in 2020? We played the Hannity interview to see if we find it compelling. I always say talent is more important than experience. I've always said that. But the word experience is very important. Isn't a very important word. It's a very important meaning. He also pledged to stand up to military adventurism backed by some in his party, like the fired National Security Advisor John Bolton. You don't have to kill people. What is the historic assignment proposed by the Biden campaign? It is in the first instance to be not Trump, or 45 anyway, restoring traditional government norms through a leader who by character is more conventionally normal. In the second instance, it is to turn the old shoe familiarity of Biden's personality and the relative indistinctness of his ideological profile into an advantage. A leader who can serve as a broker for a new set of fractions and a new policy agendas burst into the surface and jostling for a preeminence in the wake of 45. In short, Biden's promise is to be a post-emetic squadancy, saltines and ginger ale for starters, and something more solid once we feel ready. Meanwhile, what is the deal with the syrup of IPCAC? Why don't you hear of it much anymore? An important study 15 years ago, according to Wikipedia, sharpened doubts among toxicologists about its benefits and warned that it potentially hinders the administration of more effective therapies for people who swallow bad stuff. It turns out a violent purge, even into the porcelain, may not be what the doctor ordered for either poisons or politics.